The sky above Earth was not the same as it had been before. Dark clouds swirled endlessly, hiding the sun. Cities were silent, except for the occasional crackle of fires that burned in ruins. Humanity, once proud and loud, had been crushed by a force nobody had imagined. Ships of strange design floated in orbit, glowing with eerie lights. Their weapons had struck fast and precise, wiping out everything that resisted. The world had fallen in days, maybe even hours. Amid the ruins, one figure moved carefully. A young woman, tall and lean, her eyes sharp and calculating, moved between collapsed buildings, dodging falling debris. She carried nothing but a small backpack and a sense of purpose that burned brighter than the fires around her. Her name was Arya. She had survived the first wave of destruction by pure luck, but luck alone would not save her now. She knew the invaders were not done. Every step she took was measured. The streets were littered with bodies, machines, and twisted metal. Sometimes, she would pause to listen. The wind carried strange sounds, almost like whispers, but she knew better. Those were signals, alerts of patrol drones searching for life. Every second counted. One wrong move and she would join the countless souls already lost. As she moved, memories haunted her. Her family, gone in a flash, their screams still echoing in her mind. Friends she had grown up with, neighbors she had laughed with, they were all dust now. The pain threatened to slow her down, but she forced it away. Survival demanded focus, not grief. Survival demanded cunning. She reached what was left of a government facility. It was half-collapsed, a skeleton of concrete and steel. Through the cracked walls, she could see flickering lights, computers that might still hold data. Information. Secrets. If she could access them, maybe she could find a way to fight back. Humanity might be broken, but it was not finished. Not yet. Inside, the air smelled of smoke and metal. Arya's boots crunched on broken glass. She activated a small device, scanning the room for heat signatures. The room was empty. For now. Her fingers moved over the keyboard, trying to unlock files that might hold answers. Names, locations, plans, anything that could give her a fighting chance. Suddenly, the screen flickered. Lines of code, unfamiliar and alien, filled it. She frowned. This was not human technology. Whoever had destroyed Earth had left their mark here too. A distant hum made her freeze. From the shattered ceiling, a drone descended slowly, its red eye scanning the room. Arya held her breath. One wrong movement, one sound, and she would be detected. She pressed herself against a wall, barely breathing. The drone moved closer, its sensors sweeping the rubble. Arya's heart pounded. Seconds felt like hours. Then, just as quietly as it had appeared, the drone floated away. She exhaled, relief washing over her, but she knew it was temporary. This world was no longer safe. Her hands returned to the console, now more determined than ever. She found a file labeled Humanity's Last Hope. Her pulse quickened. Could it be? The file contained coordinates, strange symbols, and what seemed like instructions to build or activate something. It was risky, possibly deadly, but it was a chance. And Arya was willing to take any chance. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. The facility's walls groaned, dust falling from above. Something was approaching. Not a drone this time, something larger, heavier, unstoppable. Arya grabbed her backpack and ran, dodging falling beams and broken staircases. Outside, the sky burned with streaks of fire as alien ships descended, scanning, hunting, searching. She knew she could not fight them alone. But maybe she could escape. She ran into the shadow of a ruined skyscraper, crouching behind the remains of a collapsed elevator shaft. Her breaths came in short gasps. Above, the alien ships hovered, their lights piercing the darkness. She felt their gaze, cold and calculating, as if they knew she was there. Arya clenched her fists. She had to keep moving. She had to survive. The future of humanity might rest in the hands of a single girl running through the ashes. Then, in the distance, a faint sound reached her ears. A signal, faint but unmistakable, another survivor? Or perhaps a trap? Arya hesitated for a moment, debating whether to follow it. Every instinct screamed danger, but hope, fragile and dangerous, whispered that she should. She made her choice. Whatever awaited her, she would face it. Humanity was not finished. Not yet. With one last glance at the burning skyline, Arya sprinted toward the sound. Each step carried the weight of the past, but also the spark of a future yet unwritten. The world had fallen, but the story was far from over. Somewhere out there, humanity's last hope waited. And she would find it. Arya ran through the shattered streets, the faint signal growing louder with every step. Her legs ached, her lungs burned, but she could not stop. Behind her, the alien ships hovered like predators, scanning every inch of the ruins. They were fast, precise, and merciless. She had seen what happened to those who were caught. They didn't just die. They vanished, erased as if they had never existed. Turning a corner, she saw movement ahead. Shadows shifted among the debris, and for a moment, fear froze her in place. Then a figure stepped forward. A man, wearing tattered clothing and carrying a small rifle. His eyes widened when he saw her, and for a second, she thought he might raise his weapon. But he didn't. He only nodded, almost imperceptibly, before signaling her to follow. Arya followed him through a narrow alley, walls crumbling around them. The signal she had heard came from somewhere deeper in the city, and this man seemed to know the way. "Name's Kieran," he whispered. "You shouldn't be out here alone." "I had no choice," Arya replied, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "The ships, they're hunting us. I need to reach the source of this signal." Kieran studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Then you're braver than most. Or foolish. Maybe both." They moved quickly, avoiding open streets and areas where alien lights swept across the ruins. Every shadow could hide a drone. Every sound could be their last. As they ran, Kieran spoke in low tones about what he knew. "Most of the cities are gone," he said. "The few survivors are scattered. Some are hiding. Some, well, they didn't make it. Whoever they are, these invaders, nothing like we've ever faced, nothing human, at least. They want something, and they don't care what they destroy to get it." Arya listened, her mind racing. She had seen destruction, yes, but hearing it described in detail made it even more terrifying. Yet, somewhere in her chest, determination burned stronger than fear. If humanity was going to survive, she had to keep moving. She had to find the source of that signal. They reached the remains of a subway station. The entrance was blocked by rubble, but Kieran knelt and started clearing a path. "We'll go underground," he said. "The ships can't follow us down here. At least, not easily." Arya followed him into the dark tunnels, the air thick with dust and the smell of decay. Every sound echoed loudly, making it impossible to tell what was near. She kept her hands close to her backpack, her fingers brushing the edges of the small device she carried, the one that had led her here. After what felt like hours, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Flickering lights revealed strange markings on the walls, symbols she didn't recognize, glowing faintly. At the center, a small device pulsed with energy. The signal. It was real. Kieran approached cautiously. "It's old, very old. Not human, not completely. Whoever made this, they might have been trying to leave something for someone." Arya stepped forward, her hand trembling slightly as she reached toward the device. The moment she touched it, a holographic map projected into the air. Cities, planets, and systems appeared, connected by lines of light. Her eyes widened. This wasn't just a map of Earth, it was a map of the galaxy. They wiped out Earth, but they didn't expect someone to survive long enough to use this, Kieran said, awe and fear in his voice. Arya studied the hologram. Coordinates blinked in one corner, a location far beyond the destroyed cities. This might be humanity's last chance," she whispered. "If we can reach this place, maybe we can fight back. Maybe we can survive." Kieran nodded slowly. It won't be easy. They'll come after this device. If they find it, everything will be lost. You need to be careful. We both do. Suddenly, a deep vibration shook the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the faint hum of alien engines echoed through the tunnels. They know we're here, Kieran said grimly. We need to move. Now. Arya grabbed the device, and they ran deeper into the tunnels. Shadows moved around them, and the lights from above grew brighter. The alien presence was closing in, faster than they expected. Every corner held danger, every shadow might hide death. Yet, in the middle of fear, a spark of hope burned. This device, this signal, could change everything. Humanity had a chance. And Arya, running through the darkness with Kieran beside her, felt the weight of that chance pressing on her shoulders. She had survived the destruction of Earth. She had survived the first hunt. Now, the real journey began. A journey that could take them across the stars, or see them vanish like the rest of their world. One thing was certain, humanity was not finished yet. Not while she still drew breath. The tunnels finally opened onto a hidden landing pad beneath the city ruins. Dust and debris covered a small spacecraft, its design unlike anything Arya had seen before. Sleek, angular, with faint blue lights along its hull. It was old, but functional, just what they needed. Kieran climbed inside first, inspecting the controls. I've never flown one of these, he admitted. But I can try. We don't have a choice. Arya adjusted her backpack, keeping the small device close to her chest. We have to get off this planet. The ships will sweep this area soon. With a low hum, the spacecraft's engines awakened. Lights blinked across the cockpit, casting shadows over Arya's tense face. She gripped the edge of the seat as Kieran maneuvered the ship slowly toward the open sky. Outside, the city burned like a dying star. Alien ships circled above, their sensors sweeping, searching, but they had not noticed the hidden pad. As they lifted off, Arya felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Earth was falling behind them, crumbling under the alien assault. But in the distance, stars stretched infinitely, silent witnesses to humanity's last hope. Kieran guided the ship toward a safe trajectory, his hands steady despite the urgency. We can't stay in orbit, he said. They'll detect us. We need to jump, far away, and fast. Arya nodded, though her mind raced. The coordinates from the device. They pointed far beyond their solar system. Somewhere uncharted, somewhere the invaders had not reached. Do you think anyone else survived? She asked quietly. Kieran shook his head. Maybe a few. But if they did, they're hiding. And that's exactly what they'll need to do. Out there, beyond the stars, survival is harder than anything Earth ever taught us. Hours passed in tense silence as the ship glided through space. The device hummed softly, projecting the holographic map in front of them. Lines of light connected stars, and Arya's eyes followed the blinking point, their destination. A distant system, quiet and mysterious. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the cockpit. Kieran swore under his breath. Sensors detect something. Not from Earth. Not human. Arya leaned forward, squinting at the screen. A dark shape moved in space, massive and angular. Alien. The same species that had destroyed Earth. And now, it had noticed them. They're faster than I thought, Kieran muttered. We need to jump. Now. Arya gripped the device tighter. Do it. With a shudder, the ship activated the jump drive. Space bent around them, stars stretching into lines of light. Time seemed to slow, the hum of the engines like a heartbeat in her ears. For a moment, she felt weightless, not just in body, but in fear. They were leaving the destruction behind, but the danger was far from over. When they emerged, the view stunned them. A new star system, untouched and glowing softly in the void. Planets of blue, green, and gold spun gently, peaceful and silent. The alien presence was gone, for now. Kieran exhaled heavily. We made it, but we're not safe yet. The device points to a planet here. Something important is waiting. Maybe a weapon, maybe allies, maybe both. Arya studied the map, her mind racing with possibilities. Then that's where we go. Whatever's there, we have to find it before they do. As they approached the planet, its surface came into view, a mix of forests, deserts and rivers, untouched by human hands. But the device pulsed, warning them that danger lurked beneath the calm surface. Arya felt a thrill mixed with dread. They had crossed the stars, escaped Earth, and now the real test began. The landing was rough. Dust and rocks flew as the ship touched down on the alien world. Kieran shut the engines off, and silence filled the cabin, thick and heavy. Outside, the wind stirred, carrying a scent unfamiliar and wild. Arya stepped onto the soil, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down. Every step she took reminded her of what they had lost, and what they still had to fight for. Kieran joined her, scanning the horizon with a small handheld device. According to this, he said, pointing to a distant mountain range, the coordinates lead there. That's where the device wants us to go. Whatever's waiting for us, it's not going to be easy. Arya nodded. Nothing worth saving ever is. They began walking toward the mountains, the alien landscape stretching endlessly around them. Strange plants with glowing tips, rocks that shimmered faintly, and shadows that seemed to move on their own. The world was beautiful, but every step reminded them of danger. The invaders could be following them. The device could be a trap. Or worse, something alive could already be waiting for them. Yet, hope burned in Arya's heart. Humanity was still alive. She and Kieran were alive. And somewhere in that unknown land, a secret waited, one that could change everything. As night fell, the stars above seemed brighter than ever. For the first time since Earth's destruction, Arya felt a spark of something she thought she had lost forever. A chance. A chance to fight. A chance to win. And she would not waste it. The alien planet stretched endlessly before them, strange and alive in ways Arya had never imagined. The air smelled sharp, almost metallic, and the ground beneath their boots vibrated faintly, as if the planet itself was aware of their presence. Kieran led the way, keeping one hand on the device that had guided them here, while Arya scanned the surroundings for danger. The mountains the device pointed to loomed in the distance, jagged and dark against the glowing sky. Strange plants with translucent leaves moved as though breathing. Small creatures darted between the rocks, their shapes hard to define. The planet was beautiful, almost peaceful, but Arya knew better. Peace was always a trap in a world like this. As they walked, Kieran broke the silence. Do you ever wonder why this planet was chosen? Why the device led us here? Arya shook her head. I don't know. But I trust it. If it's showing us a path, it means there's something important waiting. Something that could save humanity. Hours passed. The sun, or whatever served as their star, dipped low, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain. Just as fatigue began to creep in, the device emitted a sudden, high-pitched signal. Arya jumped, gripping it tightly. They know we're close, Kieran muttered. Something is guarding this place. Ahead, the base of the mountains revealed an enormous structure. It looked ancient, carved from dark stone and metal fused together. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its walls, pulsing like a heartbeat. The structure radiated power, dangerous, alive power. Arya felt her pulse quicken. This must be it. This is what the device led us to. Kieran nodded. Let's be careful. We don't know what's inside. They approached the entrance, a massive archway that seemed almost alive, the symbols shifting subtly as they moved closer. Arya felt a strange sensation, like invisible eyes watching her. Every instinct screamed danger, but she pushed forward. Humanity's survival depended on it. Inside, the air was cooler, heavy with a strange energy. The walls glowed faintly, illuminating the path ahead. The corridor was long, winding, and silent. Too silent. Arya's heart thumped in her chest. She could feel something moving in the shadows, something waiting. Suddenly, the floor trembled. From the darkness, shapes began to emerge. Tall, sleek creatures, alien in form. Their skin shimmered like liquid metal, their eyes glowing faintly red. They moved without sound, surrounding Arya and Kieran. Kieran whispered urgently, "Stay calm. Don't make sudden moves. Maybe they're not hostile yet." Arya swallowed her fear. "We need the device," she said, holding it out. The aliens paused, staring at the small glowing object in her hands. One of them stepped forward, tilting its head as if studying her. Then, a sound unlike anything Arya had heard before filled the chamber. A low, vibrating hum that made her chest ache. The device pulsed in response, its light brighter than ever. The aliens froze, and for a moment, the tension in the room was unbearable. Kieran whispered, "I think it's communicating, or responding to the device." Arya nodded slowly. She raised the device higher, letting it project its holographic map. The aliens recoiled slightly, their forms shimmering more intensely. The map highlighted a point deeper within the structure, a central chamber glowing with energy. "That's where we need to go," Arya said, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her. "Whatever is in there, it's the key." One of the aliens moved aside, as if granting passage. Arya and Kieran exchanged a tense glance. Trusting them was risky, but they had no choice. Slowly, they moved forward, deeper into the structure. The corridor opened into a massive chamber. At its center was a pedestal, floating slightly above the ground. On it rested an orb of pure light, pulsating with energy that seemed alive. Arya felt drawn to it, as though it called to her. She knew instinctively that this was what the device had led them to. But as she stepped closer, a voice echoed in her mind. Not words exactly, but thoughts, clear, urgent, commanding. "Only the worthy may claim the power. Only the brave may survive." Kieran looked at her, eyes wide. "It's testing us. Somehow. Be careful." Arya took a deep breath and reached for the orb. The energy surged through her, warm and fierce, filling her with strength she had never felt before. But it also revealed a vision: Earth burning, humanity scattered, the invaders hunting relentlessly. And in the vision, she saw herself standing alone against them, holding the fate of humanity in her hands. She pulled back slightly, fear and determination warring inside her. "We can do this," she whispered. "We have to. Humanity is not finished yet." The orb pulsed again, brighter this time, as if acknowledging her resolve. The aliens around them shimmered and stepped back, giving them space. Whatever challenge awaited, Arya now felt the first real spark of hope. This world, this power, was dangerous, but it was also humanity's last chance. And she would not fail. The orb glowed brighter as Arya held it, humming with energy that made her skin tingle. The chamber seemed alive, walls shifting subtly, casting strange shadows across the floor. Kieran watched her closely, unsure whether the energy would help or harm them. "We need to understand it," he whispered. "We can't just carry it blindly." Arya nodded, trying to focus. Every instinct screamed that this orb was more than a weapon. It was a key, a guide, maybe even a teacher. She touched its surface, and suddenly, the chamber transformed. Walls melted into streams of light, floors vanished into nothingness, and the air became charged with power. They were no longer in a simple alien structure. They were somewhere else, somewhere vast and infinite. A voice filled the space, not loud, but clear, like thoughts inside her mind. "To wield the power, you must face what you fear most." Arya froze. Her fears flashed before her eyes: the destruction of Earth, the screams of her family, the endless hunt by the invaders. And worst of all, the possibility that she would fail. She felt the energy of the orb pressing on her, testing her resolve. Kieran reached for her arm. "Arya, you can do this. Remember why you're here. Humanity depends on us." Taking a deep breath, she nodded. She closed her eyes and focused. The orb's light wrapped around her, pulling her inward, into a vision. Suddenly, she stood in the middle of a burning city, alien ships hovering above, their red eyes glowing. But she was not alone. Kieran was there beside her, ready to fight. The invaders attacked. Waves of energy blasted toward them, and for a moment, Arya felt panic. But then, the orb surged, sending out a shield of light. The blasts bounced off harmlessly, illuminating the sky. She realized the orb could not only guide them but also protect them, if they could master it. A shadow moved in the vision, taller and darker than the rest. It spoke without words, its presence overwhelming. Arya understood instantly. This was the leader of the invaders, the one who had destroyed Earth. And it knew she was coming. The orb pulsed violently, almost knocking her off her feet. "We can do this," Kieran shouted, grounding himself beside her. "Focus on what we must protect. Not fear. Not what we've lost. What we can save." Arya clenched the orb tightly, centering herself. The vision shifted. Now she saw humans, scattered but alive, hiding across worlds. Children, elders, warriors, people who still had a chance. Her determination grew. Fear became fuel, panic became purpose. The orb responded, its light expanding, almost like it recognized her will. Suddenly, the chamber snapped back to reality. The walls solidified, the shadows returned, and the alien guardians watched silently. The orb hummed steadily in her hands, no longer chaotic, but controlled. She looked at Kieran, who nodded, understanding her triumph. "You did it," he said softly. "You passed the test." Arya exhaled slowly, her heart still pounding. "It wasn't just me. We passed it together. And this is the weapon humanity needs." Kieran studied the orb. "I think it's more than a weapon. It's a guide. A way to fight back, to protect the people who are still out there. But we need to move fast. The invaders will trace this energy, they'll find us eventually." Arya agreed. "Then we prepare. We learn what this orb can do. And then we take the fight to them." As they left the chamber, the alien guardians moved aside. It was as if the beings themselves recognized their determination. Outside, the planet was calm, but Arya knew this calm was temporary. The invaders would come, and when they did, Earth's destruction would seem like a warning compared to what could happen next. Kieran adjusted the device. "We need to map a route. There are systems nearby where survivors might be hiding. If we can rally them, teach them to use this power, maybe we can rebuild what's lost." Arya nodded, her mind racing with plans. "We have to act fast. Every second counts. Humanity is not finished. Not while we breathe." They started walking toward the edge of the mountains, the orb safely secured, the device guiding them to distant systems. The alien planet, once threatening and mysterious, now felt like the first real step in a long journey. Every shadow might hide danger, every rustle of wind might signal an attack, but hope burned stronger than fear. And for the first time since Earth fell, Arya felt the weight of possibility. They could survive. They could fight back. They could reclaim what was taken. Somewhere out there, humanity waited. And they would not let it fall again. The alien planet faded behind them as Arya and Kieran piloted the spacecraft through uncharted space. The orb sat securely between them, glowing softly, a reminder of the power they now carried. Arya studied the holographic map projected from the device. Distant points blinked, habitable planets, hidden colonies, survivors scattered across the galaxy. Each one was a chance to rebuild humanity. "We have to reach them before the invaders do," Arya said, her voice steady. "Every second counts. Every life counts." Kieran nodded, adjusting the ship's trajectory. "I've charted a course to the closest system. It's risky, uninhabited by the invaders as far as we know, but we might find someone alive there." As they neared the planet, the sensors picked up faint signs of life, small settlements, barely detectable. Relief washed over them. Humanity was still alive, hiding, waiting. "Look," Kieran whispered, pointing at the screen. "People. Survivors. They're trying to stay hidden." Arya felt a surge of hope. "We'll find them. We'll show them there's a way to fight back." The landing was tense. The planet was hostile, its surface rocky and barren. As they touched down, the wind whipped around the spacecraft, carrying the scent of smoke and ash. Shadows moved in the distance, watching them. Arya and Kieran stepped carefully, weapons ready, orb secured. A small group emerged from the rocks, humans, ragged and wary, eyes wide with fear. Children clung to their parents, adults gripping makeshift weapons. They had been hiding, waiting for help, uncertain if anyone would come. Arya stepped forward, raising her hands in peace. "We're here to help. We have a way to fight. You're not alone." The survivors hesitated, then slowly approached. Their leader, a man with gray streaks in his hair and eyes hardened by loss, studied Arya. "Help?" he asked. "We've seen help come before, and it never stayed. Why should we trust you?" Arya held the orb high. Its light pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. "Because this can protect you. This can give humanity a chance. But only if we act together. The invaders won't stop, they're coming. And they will destroy anyone who stands in their way." The man studied her, then nodded slowly. "If what you say is true, then we have no choice. Let us." Kieran exhaled quietly, impressed by Arya's courage. "Let's prepare. We need to teach them how to survive, how to use this power." But before they could begin, alarms blared across the planet's surface. Alien ships had detected the energy from the orb. The survivors froze, fear flashing in their eyes. "They're here," Arya said, her voice firm. "We don't have time to hide. We fight, or we die." The first wave of invaders descended. Red lights cut through the sky, ships moving with deadly precision. Energy blasts tore into the ground around them, throwing rocks and debris into the air. Arya activated the orb. Light spread outward, forming a protective shield around the survivors. The invaders' blasts bounced harmlessly off it, but the shield could not last forever. Kieran grabbed the device, using it to project holographic symbols into the air. The symbols pulsed, sending waves of energy that disrupted the invaders' ships. The survivors, seeing the power, began to fight back, gaining courage from the display. They used makeshift weapons, taking advantage of the alien ship's momentary confusion. Arya turned to Kieran. "We need to lead them. Show them the way. Humanity fights, not hides." Kieran nodded, taking the controls of the orb with her. Together, they guided the survivors through strategic attacks, using the orb's energy to protect them and to repel the invaders. But the alien ships adapted quickly. Larger, more powerful vessels approached, their energy beams cutting through the atmosphere. The shield flickered, weakening. Arya realized this battle was only the beginning. "We can't hold them off for long," she shouted to Kieran. "We need to retreat, to regroup, to train these people. If we can survive this attack, we can build an army that can fight back." Kieran adjusted the orb's energy, creating a narrow corridor of light. "Follow me," he yelled. "Move fast." The survivors ran, guided by the light. Arya stayed at the rear, using the orb to deflect the invaders' attacks. One ship descended dangerously close. Arya's hands shook, but she focused. With a surge of energy, the orb released a powerful wave, knocking the ship off course. It crashed into the barren terrain, exploding in a blinding flash. For a moment, silence. The survivors looked around, breathing heavily. Some had fallen, but most were safe. The invaders had retreated, at least for now. Arya lowered the orb, exhaustion washing over her. She looked at the survivors, at their faces, fear mixed with hope. "This is just the beginning," she said quietly. "We have a chance now. A real chance. And we will not let it slip away." Kieran put a hand on her shoulder. "We've won this fight, but the war is far from over. The real challenge is ahead." Arya nodded, determination burning brighter than ever. Humanity was alive. Humanity could fight. And they would, no matter the cost. The alien ships darkened the skies above the survivors' makeshift base. Energy pulses from the orb illuminated the terrain like a beacon, drawing the invaders closer. Arya stood at the forefront, the orb secured in her hands, her eyes scanning the horizon. Every survivor looked to her, their hope and fear intertwined. "We've come too far to lose now," she said, her voice steady. "They think they've destroyed humanity, but they haven't seen what we can do together. Today, we fight for everyone who survived. Today, we reclaim our future." Kieran stood beside her, adjusting the device that projected the holographic map. "The orb can protect and guide us," he said. "We use it wisely. Hit fast, hit precise. We lead, they follow." The first wave descended. Ships moved like predators, their red lights cutting through the darkness. Energy beams tore into the ground, sending debris and dust swirling into the air. The survivors followed Arya's lead, weapons ready, hearts pounding. Arya activated the orb. A wave of energy spread outward, forming a dome of light that deflected the invaders' attacks. She extended her hands, projecting energy pulses that pushed enemy ships off course. Kieran manipulated the orb simultaneously, sending holographic symbols into the air that disrupted alien shields. The invaders were powerful, but Arya had something they did not: determination. Humanity had survived countless battles, and they refused to yield. The survivors, inspired by Arya's courage, pressed forward, attacking wherever the invaders' shields faltered. A massive ship descended, larger and darker than any they had faced. Its energy beams cut through the orb's shield, threatening to destroy everything. Arya gritted her teeth, focusing. She felt the orb responding, alive to her will. Energy surged, and she directed it at the ship. A brilliant beam shot outward, striking the vessel. Sparks flew, metal twisted, and the ship crashed violently into the ground. The survivors cheered, their fear turning to determination. They advanced, using the orb's power to guide them and protect them. Arya led the charge, Kieran coordinating defenses and attacks, creating a rhythm of offense and defense that the invaders could not anticipate. But then, a shadow loomed larger than the rest. The leader of the invaders, the one responsible for Earth's destruction, emerged in a massive ship, its red glow terrifying and immense. Its energy beams cut through the battlefield, targeting the orb, seeking to destroy the source of humanity's hope. Arya's hands tightened around the orb. "I cannot fail," she thought. "I will not fail." She stepped forward, focusing every ounce of her will. The orb pulsed violently, responding to her determination, creating a shield around her and Kieran that expanded outward. Energy surged across the battlefield, striking the invaders' leader's ship. It faltered, sparks flying across its hull. Kieran shouted, "Now, Arya! Focus on their weakness." Arya channeled all her strength into the orb. Light shot outward in a concentrated beam, piercing the invader's ship. It shuddered violently, systems failing, before crashing to the ground with a deafening explosion. Silence followed, broken only by the heavy breathing of the survivors and the hum of the orb. The remaining alien ships retreated. Their red lights disappeared from the skies, leaving a calm that felt almost unreal. Humanity had won the battle, and for the first time since Earth fell, hope burned brighter than fear. Arya lowered the orb, exhaustion washing over her. Kieran came beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We did it," he said softly. "The invaders are gone, for now. Humanity survived because of you, because of all of us." Arya looked at the survivors. They were battered, tired, and scared, but alive. "This is just the beginning," she said. "We've survived their attack, but we can't forget what's out there. We rebuild. We train. We protect. Humanity will never be powerless again." The survivors cheered, voices rising in unity. For the first time in years, they felt something they had thought lost forever: strength, courage, and the possibility of a future. Arya turned her gaze to the stars. Earth was gone, but humanity was not finished. Across the galaxy, survivors waited. They would find them. They would unite them. They would reclaim what was lost. And one day, they would return to Earth, not as victims, but as victors. Kieran adjusted the device, plotting a course to the next system. "We have work to do," he said. "There are others out there who need us. Others who still fight." Arya smiled, determination burning brighter than ever. "Then we go," she said. "Humanity is not finished. And it never will be." As the survivors boarded the ship, the orb's light pulsed gently, as if acknowledging its new role, a guide, a protector, and a symbol of humanity's unyielding spirit. The galaxy stretched before them, full of dangers, mysteries, and challenges, but also hope. For the first time since the fall of Earth, humanity had a chance to rise again. And under Arya's leadership, they would not just survive, they would thrive. The stars awaited them, endless and brilliant, as humanity's last hope soared toward the future.